All right, here we go. Another episode well into a year at this point. We have Zach Conlin with us today. This is The Vital Wire. All right, so Erin and I get to stay on our kick of the athletic realm here, but more importantly, we're going to get to learn on more about our guest today, Zach Conlin. Just introduce yourself for you. You really need no introduction.
Oh, whatever. So my name is Zach Conlin. I'm a PGA professional. Right now I teach golf at Old Hickory Golf Club, transitioning to a new indoor training facility that's about to open in October. Been teaching golf for about 11 years, coached high school golf for 3 years. Just trying to revolutionize the game of golf.
Perfect. That's kind of what we like to do.
Yeah.
Just change the stereotype, revolutionize what's going on in our own individual industries is cool. So before we jump in and talk about Elevate Golf in Lake St. Louis, let's learn a little bit about Zach. Where did Zach come from? Where did you grow up?
Well,
Tell us.
I grew up in St. Peters, which is down
Right
the
here.
street from
Yeah.
where we're at. Went to Fortune Walt South High School. Played golf there. Got into golf a lot after college.
When did you start playing golf? Like when did you pick up a club?
Probably middle school time, like 5th, 6th grade, somewhere in there. Started doing some junior leagues. Grew to like it. I was playing a lot of baseball at the time. Golf kind of took over. Had to make the decision in high school, baseball, golf, same season.
Why golf? Why'd you change?
I don't know. I was pretty good at baseball. I thought. The game, I was, drawn to the game, just the challenges of it, and the continued work it takes to be good at it. It was also kind of nice having to put all that pressure on just me, knowing that if I performed, we had a good day rather than leaning on team or something like that. I like the individuality of it.
I tell people all the time, I really feel like there's a couple sports that are very hard to be, like, even just hobby-wise, be competitive at. And I say golf and bowling are probably the two hardest sports to be competitive at. Like a lot of people will do it because they love it, or they can drink a lot of beer while they do it, whatever it is.
Right.
But to carry a 220 or better average in bowling, and to do the same thing, and like my goal right now is to get into single digit handicaps in golf.
Right.
It's two of the hardest sports to achieve that, really, I believe. So many different angles and timing and pace, and there's just so much that, like you said, there's always something you can get better at, but it is challenging. It's very humbling.
Yeah, it's funny because, golf's kind of the sport that people just like, oh, I'm going to try playing golf. And it's like, it's not really something you can just try. It is hard, and I think that if I get people to understand that, it helps a lot, rather than going out and being like, oh, yeah, this is going to be super easy. I mean, you have to understand that you have to take it for how hard it is, and it's going to be a challenge. But it shows you work ethic and things like that really bring out like good qualities in people. It's like you have to work hard to be good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So started in middle school. You went to Zumwalt South,
yeah.
You said, and you played high school golf there. Obviously graduated from Zumwalt South. What happened after high school?
So I went to Missouri State a couple of years. Did not play golf there.
Was it Missouri State when you went?
It was.
Was it?
I'm not that old.
Thanks.
And then a couple of years there, came back, working at golf courses and golf retail and golf course, and then was going to school to be a school teacher, and then started working at Old Hickory, where I got into teaching golf, and I was like, teaching math or teaching golf, and, from there did everything I needed to do to become a PGA professional and hone my skills in teaching.
Well, you said something important that I just picked up on, because you and I tend to work on the TrackMan a little bit when there's bad weather, when it's cold. So now you saying teaching math or teaching golf, it's like, okay,
I
now...
kind of blended the two worlds a little bit. The amount of numbers we get from TrackMan and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, there's some math to be done. golf swing is all angles and proper angles into the ball. How much you can rotate, all that, we can get into all
face
the
control, face control,
Yeah,
face
if you
control.
can control club face, you'll be the best player in the world. I always say that to people. So that is not easy to do. So
When did you get your card? When did you become PGA pro?
So took me a little while. I kind of figuring out what I wanted to do and stuff like that. And once I started teaching golf and loved it, that was probably 2013 or so. Started the PGA program and went through that, and I've now been a PGA member for almost 4 years.
Nice.
The associate leading up to that, and then now it's a Class A PGA professional.
That's awesome. That's I mean, in golf too is one of those sports that's like it's growing rapidly, growing very rapidly, and as well it should. I love golf for like you said too, the qualities it can teach you. Whether it's patience or consistency or building relationships. A lot of people say there's a lot of money to be made on the golf course, and there is. There's a class that comes along with that too, which I think is very rewarding and also a class you want to be sustainable in. But there's so much good that golf can bring, and so I think if I had to do it over again, I too was a big baseball guy, but I would hone in on golf if they're like, you can't play baseball. You can go back to high school. You can't play baseball. You can't do exactly what you did. You got to do it a little different. What would you do? I'd play golf for sure.
Everyone that I see, they always say that, man, I wish I started golf earlier, It's just, but the good news is you can kind of pick it up at any time. Just seek help.
Where'd you coach golf? You said you coached.
I coached at Zumwalt South, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went back there and coached a few years until my schedule couldn't handle it anymore. It's just too big of a commitment. But loved coaching high school golf. If I had time to do it, I'd still be doing it.
Yeah. Well, now you're just going to do it a little differently now because what I'm excited for what you're starting to do. So you and I have been working together for over a year now.
Right.
My goal being is I just wanted to get into single digits, knowing, having the capacity, and I believe I have that talent range to get into that point where I sought out help.
Right.
And so it's super cool because I just want to say one thing about working with you, and I tell this to everybody, is there's all kinds of different styles of coaches. And I wouldn't say necessarily that one's better than the other. It's just who fits with you. I've gone to a couple different other coaches and they were great. The only thing for me and what I like about how you teach is like, it sounds a little cliche, but you literally are able to work with what somebody has and you have an overall goal with how you teach versus, because there's so many different variables. Where do you put your ball in your stance? How do you turn? How fast do you go? What's your timing like? But it's like in being able to coach with you and really start to narrow it down and be like, here's the overall goal. If you can strike the ball well, and then let's go from there. And that's one thing I've enjoyed versus like, don't hit this, swing over this. Here's all these drills and these things in your way. That works well for a lot of people. Right. And you know me well enough now as it's like, okay, he sees all the angles. He's way far past the vision of what it should be in the feel he's got. It's like, and to be able to work with what I had to work with, and you work with a lot of people who do need the drills. So to be able to take what people need is something I appreciate, that you're pretty set in what you're trying to deliver, but you mold it definitely to the client or the student that you're working with.
I appreciate that. So you look at the PGA Tour, watch any golf on TV, like all the swings are different, right? Where they're going's similar, right? But how they get there is completely different. And, golf swing is made up of balance, in my opinion. So if you have the right amount of balances in your swing, if you're open somewhere, closed somewhere else, I don't need to get into the details of it all, or give my secrets away. But if you can balance things in golf swings, they blend really well. So a lot of what I do when I'm instructing is finding what you do well and building off of that, rather than saying this is how you swing a golf club or these are the things you have to do. It's just not that simple to just say this is the one way to do it. So I appreciate that. That means a lot. Just to say that is really nice.
Well, there was one day we were all out on the range for an event earlier this year, and I've been referring people to you and likewise, but Erin decides to take a club out of my bag. We have a picture of this, and she's like, maybe I'll try out one of your clubs. I was like, no, you will not. You will put that back in the bag. You can try out on somebody else's club first. You got a different starting point than where I'm at now. Zach too can work with you, but please leave my clubs where they're at.
So did you hit one or no?
He didn't let me.
No. Oh,
No,
man.
I've got a set of M6s. Shout out TaylorMade for helping me get the clubs I have now. But well, maybe if she wants to take up golf, my wife has now taken up a little bit of golf.
Very
Janie
good
wants to
cart
learn how to
girl.
play golf.
Yeah, I'm a good
Yeah.
cart girl.
Cart girl.
So we'll get them all together. But how young? I mean, what's your ideal clientele? Like how young?
Yeah, so that's a good question because a lot of people say, well, yeah, I want to get my 3-year-old out for golf, and I'm like, hit the brakes a little bit, like so when they're that young, I recommend not doing anything outside of a green, so chipping and putting and stuff like that. Start to develop feel early, but until a child can support a club above their head, it's just going to pull them around. So like you get the club up and it kind of dumps over their head. They come down, it falls back around them. They're swatting at it sideways. So until they have the strength to support a golf club, it's really hard to instruct that. Now you can teach, grip, stance, like posture, like how to set up properly, and then work on the feel stuff, the short stuff, the stuff they can manage. If you want them to swing plastic clubs when they're little is great. I mean, it's just something, just develop some type of swinging motion. Get used to making contact with something, but weight's an issue. You get something too heavy, a small child might not be able to handle it. So my daughter just turned 5, and I think we're gonna have club in her hand this winter. So.
Yeah. Has she shown interest into that?
Oh yeah, she asked me about it all the time. The other day, she actually, it was, PGA Tour wrapped up last week, and we were sitting on the couch, and I turned the TV on. She said, "Turn on golf," and I was like, well, there's not golf right now. But that was it was music to my ears, though.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna watch some Disney show or something, and she told me to turn golf on.
Watch Moana or something.
Oh, 100 times already. So.
Well, I asked that too because Kenton and Leighton, so they're 4 and 6 now, have been knocking down my door. There's 2 things they want to do. They want to watch and work on the race car, and when we're not doing that, they want to go to the golf course. Which is cool because I'm the same way. Like I haven't pushed. Like they're exposed to what we're exposed to, but I've never pushed. And when they want to go, we go. Or sometimes they'll be like, "You want to go to the golf course?" Like, yeah, let's go. And like you said, we've started on the chipping green, and we'll go and putt because the thing about golf too is it is a little different. Like to be able to corral them, it's not like, okay, now you can go into the outfield and you let them run and they're expending energy. It's like you're standing here. Golf balls are here, and we're going to do some work and to corral them into that. But once they're ready for that too, I like the psychology of that too. And when do you start kids? Because it's like, well, they've got to be able to somewhat be contained because it's not something where you can make it such an experience where they're always doing something. Right. It's like, okay, if they get bored. So it's like being able to have the time frame allowed, or do they have the capacity and will and want to do it to be able to stand there and take, even 10, 15 minutes at a time to start to do something, whether it's stance or putting. So that's super cool. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into what you're bringing here to Lake St. Louis.
Sure.
We've had an awesome time. I met you at Old Hickory, and that whole facility has been great and better for that. There's still going to be a relationship there, but you have now decided to kind of branch off and literally start to change the game and industry of how golf is taught.
Yeah, so it really started on changing kind of the instruction model a little bit. In Missouri, at least, there's not a lot of options for off-season practice, off-season training. I built a simulator at Old Hickory so I could teach through the off-season. People's knock on using that was that they didn't want to get the change and then not be able to practice it. So having a place to practice was an issue. So, I'm in the simulator teaching, they can't be in there practicing. So they can come get a golf lesson and then they don't do anything until next golf lesson. And it gets kind of redundant. So unless you can practice, it makes it difficult. So what we're developing and what we're building that'll be ready in October sometime is a full-on training facility. So not only can we do instruction, but we are building practice programs for athletes. So they come in, they take an 8-tiered assessment test that covers kind of every aspect of their game. From there, we build a practice program for them, and then we put them through training where they can actually practice the skills to get better at golf. And if they get golf instruction, we implement that into their practice. So they're constantly being told essentially how to function in practice versus taking a golf lesson and either doing nothing or not practicing the right way. The hardest thing about golf is not prescribing practice. I can tell people what I want them to do between golf lessons and prescribe it, but I can't manage it.
Right.
Especially if you're teaching a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old kid, you expect them to take a 30-minute lesson every three weeks or something and come in and then they're on their own, and it's like, what is that 12-year-old doing for 3 weeks when they're not with their coach? Where other sports, I mean, they have the luxury of coaches at practice, coaches at games, they have pitching lessons, and they're with a private instructor, so they're just constantly being coached. And golf is just backwards. There's no help unless you're paying for hours of instruction, which is really expensive. I mean, I know what I charge. It's not cheap to get private instruction, but that can't be the only source of training.
Right.
So that's our goal is to have a facility that can manage that, where we can manage practice, but two, make it affordable to where you don't need private instruction every week. You know, you can get get the change that you need to have fundamentally, but then work on the skills needed to play golf. So it's a lot more about playing golf rather than just getting better at golf swing. We make you better at golf rather than golf swing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I can attest to that. It's like from where I was this time last year, or I think we started probably May or June last year.
Yeah.
And from where I am now, it's like, I still don't play enough being here at the practice. And it's so funny because most of these people we have on that are guests, whether they're in organization or HR or construction or golf or whatever it is, it's music to our ears, because even with what we do here, it's like, okay, so if you think you're only going to do it once, every once in a while, and you're going to remember, apply, and create sustainable result and consistency, you're not. It takes that level of training, but it also takes, you know, that time frame and the availability on both sides to be able to do it with the correct facility and plan going forward. And we've talked a lot throughout this, you know, at the beginning of your idea of even this happening. And it's, you know, I really can jump on board with this too, because it's a lot of what we do here. Let's evaluate you as a person.
Yeah.
And then what are your goals? What are you trying to do? And now let's evaluate, what do we have to work with? Not just like, okay, you want to have a better golf swing and be a better golfer. Great. I know where I need you to go to do that. But it's like, what do you even have to work with? Do that evaluation. And then on our side, seeing some of the athletes we see and the golfers, and, you know, me being very high into golf, and then learning from you, is it's like, what does it take even biomechanically? And you're going to have resources for that too. And it's like, how can we make sure that you can be the best golfer possible with the best resources and the best practice and training and playability? And also there's going to be a health component in that for you too. So it's like, this is going to be literally a huge game changer. And it's right here in the middle of St. Charles County. And what I see too is the Tiger era was cool.
Right.
And everybody, you know, well, I shouldn't say everybody, you know, a lot of people, the impact he had on the game was phenomenal. And that was, I think, really the beginning of this massive growth into golf. But then you get these super relevant kids, and not so much kids anymore because we are getting old. And you can see that in our beards if you're watching this. But you see guys like Rory and Ricky Fowler and Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas and now Morikawa. And you see all these guys, and now it's really relevant to the younger generation, where it's not just like, oh, rich guys play golf.
Right. And not only in the tour players, and a little bit of the fashion probably in there, you know, especially with Ricky coming on, you know, when he came on, but golf entertainment, you know, Top Golfs and all these putting courses. And I mean, it is blowing up, and just people that have never touched a golf club before going for a work event or something like that, and they're just getting introduced to the game. So it's becoming more of just a lifestyle, something people do to spend free time, which is just going to help golf courses and everything at the end, because people are going to want to get into golf. Oh, Top Golf was fun. You know, maybe I'll try to play real golf, you know. So it's just golf entertainment blowing up is totally helping the game.
Yeah, Top Golf is super cool for the industry, because then it's like, we're all competitive.
Right.
So you go to Top Golf, and then you literally top the golf ball and you hit it into the net that's in front of you. And then you've got some other of your buddies that can actually hit a little bit, and then you start trying to play the games and putting them into flags and you start to get competitive.
Yeah.
And then what Top Golf doesn't really provide that I'm aware of is like, okay, how do I get better at this?
Right.
Because I'm sick of my friends beating me at this all the
Right.
time. I want to drink and be good
Yeah.
and eat, but I want to be good at this. And then it's like, the thing that I like to relate here too, and as we're seeing more student athletes is, and this will apply to your industry as well, is it's like everybody wants the result, but right now I don't think they know what are the resources, what's even available.
Right.
So this is in Lake St. Louis. You said October-ish, right?
Yeah.
So give us a little bit of a verbal walkthrough of what you're going to have in the building.
Okay. Yeah. So this could be a bit extensive. So TrackMan is one of the leading industry launch monitors, and tracks golf ball, golf club.
So for you guys, what you see is when you see that blue stripe or that red stripe of like the ball flight on the
Right.
TV, that's TrackMan.
Yeah, so on like PGA Tour events, they have TrackMan behind the tee boxes, and it tracks the golf ball for them. What you're seeing there is typically golf ball data, so like ball speeds and carry distance and stuff like that, so you know how far they hit it. What we can do in facility is we can actually track your golf club too. It actually spits out like 31 different data points. We don't use all those at one time. It get a little overwhelming there, but we're able to pull all this data and help us to analyze what's going on and help build your practice. But so we'll have 7 TrackMan simulators, which actually can be used to play golf as well as practice. There's miniature golf on there. There's long drive competition on there. There's closest to the pin games. So they have tons of games you can play outside of just training elements. A lot of our testing will be on there. You know, we'll build test, and then that's how we are able to evaluate people's wedge game or driver. And then beyond the simulators, we also have a 3,000 square foot short game area going in. We have a rectangular flat putting green, and then like a 2,000 square foot chipping green that's actually sloped with a real sand bunker inside, which is pretty cool. Turf company that is doing it said it's the only indoor bunker they've done. So
oh wow,
it's pretty unique, and it'd be pretty cool to be able to actually hit sand shots inside. We also have a golf specific fitness area, a concession area, and we have a members lounge equipped with. Right now, we're putting in a gaming area, so we have PS5 in there. We've got ping pong in there, a little space to kind of sit and eat and eat and drink, whatever you want to do. And then like a little lounge outside too by the simulators. But it's about 10,000.
There's also a 2-acre lake in the middle. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we need a little bit bigger building for that. We're gonna have indoor golf holes. Yeah.
But even at that, I mean, you have a 3,000 square foot chipping facility.
Yeah.
So that should give people a pretty good idea. Like, this isn't just your 1,400 square foot 5 simulator bays where you just go bring some buddies.
We're not a simulator bar.
No.
We are a full-on training facility. You can practice every element of your game inside our building, and then improve mobility, strength, and other things in our fitness area. So there's a ton that we're going to be able to do just inside the walls.
So really, no matter what the goals are, and this is something that Erin and I asked during our ultimate athlete evaluation and even our general clients here, is it's like, what's the goal?
Yeah.
And no matter what the goal is, it's like, I want to go play golf at Oklahoma State. I want to go play golf at Alabama, or, I want to go tour, whatever, or I just want to play for fun. I want to be able to win some skins. Right. And it's like, depending on what that answer is, this facility, they're going to be able to use every aspect of the facility, and you're going to be able to take them no matter what. If it's hobby golf or if it's, extreme, ultimate, elite level golf, you're going to have everything there.
Yeah, and we accommodate every skill level, every age range, whether it's little kids just getting introduced to golf. If you're somebody that wants to work on your game and you're 60, 70 years old, that's fine too.
Yeah.
And then, leagues or other formats at night and on the weekends, simulator rentals, stuff like that.
So with that, now that we've kind of had a walkthrough of the facility, give us a little bit of insight on if somebody's going to work with you. If I was 20 years younger, I would say, no, I want to play golf at Alabama. Like, right. I want to play some serious golf. I want to go for it. What's kind of your your coaching process of what's the first thing you look at?
Yeah, so for the facility, we're definitely leaning on our evaluation tool, our assessment test. So we have an 8-tiered assessment test. Every player will go through that testing. That'll tell us where they're strong and where they're weak in their game. There's a scoring scale that we use, and then from there we can see like your chipping is a weak part of your game, or your putting is a weak part of your game, and then we build practice based off of your skill range. So first is develop practice plan. So we've developed a whole plan for you. We schedule it out for you, what you're doing each day, how you're doing it. There's videos on how to do everything. You have a practice coach that comes around and helps you. You're constantly being supervised and being guided through your practice. If you go through practice sessions and you don't improve, there could be fundamental issues. So that's where we would say, like, okay, now you've been chipping for 5 practice sessions, but we're not seeing much growth in that just through practice. So we probably need some type of fundamental help. So now it might be golf lesson time. Okay, so golf lesson becomes a little more secondary. Let's figure out can we develop these skills without having to pay so much for them, really, right? Like, do I need to take 27 golf lessons in a month? Like that. To be honest with you, that's really what you need to do right now, because there's no one guiding the practice. So we're just trying to fill that middle void. So to answer your question, I mean, we're managing how you practice the game, and then offer the fundamental help when needed. But there'll be clear evidence if we need it or not. It's not going to be you think you need to work on your driver when the driver is really the best club in your bag. You just missed 2 fairways last round and you were upset about it. You know, it's like tour average is like 70%. So like it doesn't have to be that good. It's just we can now manage and tell you, hey, this is where we need to work. We're going to level all of your skills, so get everything to where you're the same skill range across the game, and then we'll elevate all of your skills together. So keep getting better and progressing, and then we can constantly track it and make sure that we're doing that.
So, and this can be a little bit of this is going to be a very dynamic question, because there's going to be different levels of this, but I'm going to try to get to a point without just saying it right off the bat. So let me see if I can form these questions correctly.
Sure.
So just Erin's starting to play golf, and she's like, I just want to know all about golf, just kind of give me the foundation. And she goes, and she might ask something like, what is the most important thing to focus on playing golf from just a management perspective, not necessarily a golf swing perspective, but where are the most strokes dropped in golf?
Sure. 30 yards and in, probably. So we're just going to green surround it. Okay. So the feel of it, of chipping and putting is a hard thing to develop. Whether it's just a putter in your hand at first is probably the best thing you can do. The green out is, in my opinion, is going to be the best way to learn, especially for somebody new. If you play in a work scramble or a charity scramble or something like that, and you go out there and you swing and miss every time you go to hit the ball, but then you make a putt, like, you're gonna have the time of your life. So the other thing I tell people too is it's a lot easier to get good at chipping and putting, but if you want to hit driver 300 yards, you got to be able to swing it pretty dang fast to do that. Yeah. So like that's going to be a lot harder hill to climb than getting up and down a little more or 3-putting less. Yeah. Starting small and then working your way out is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I think that's something important, for somebody like Erin or whoever wants to get into golf, as they ask that question, it's like, they say all the time, drive for show, putt for dough. Yeah. Like everybody gets a top golf and they're like, oh, I'm going to bang this over the net. Right. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. And all chicks dig the long ball. That's great. But it's like, you want to win some money and be good. Like you can cut down a lot of strokes. And, we've talked about this too, even with my kids. It's like, get them putting, 3-foot putts. And the validation, the excitement, the achievement of, Dad, I made it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, we'll move it back a little farther. We'll move back a little farther. Now start out here and see how close you can get it to the hole. Right. So as far as a management perspective, like I said, this is kind of a tiered dynamic conversation we could have because there is so many aspects to the game. Yeah. So now let me ask you from a swing coach perspective. Yeah. You drill me all the time for, you don't say perfect swing because there's not. Look at Jim Furyk. Look at McElroy, look at Sung J M or Matsuyama, who's got the big stall at the top of his swing. You see all of this. So there's really no perfect swing, because at the end of the day, what is the most important thing in a golf swing for you? Like, how do you come? What is Zach's kind of take on? At the end of the day, you want to be here.
Well, hitting the ball solid is probably the most important thing. Being able to make solid contact, which you can have perfect golf swing is what you want to say, and not touch the golf ball. So the swing is a small percentage of what we're trying to accomplish. You have to be able to hit the ball solid.
So is it fair to say impact?
Yeah, that would be a great answer.
That's kind of how I focus on
You've
my
learned
game.
something.
See, I did ask the right
something.
question. That's what I was hoping you would say. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of knew the answer, but I want everybody else to know too. Where it's like, you can go look at McElroy, Furyk, Matsuyama, and you got three totally different. John Rahm. I try to swing. Zach yells at me all the time. He's like, "Dude, you are not John Rahm. You have to slow down."
Yeah.
But that's me. That's how I need to play the ball. Somebody else could have that quick pace
Sure.
backswing forward. But it's like, you look at this, and at the end of the day, it's impact. Like, who cares how you start, in a sense? But the most important thing, if we're going to focus on anything, and you told me this from the beginning, is it's like, we have to hit the ball solid.
Right.
And if you're going to hit it one direction, that's fine. Don't hit it both directions.
Right.
So impact, I really feel, is probably one of the things that you really like to focus on.
Yeah.
And probably should.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, centerness of contact, solid strike. Like I said, beautiful golf swing doesn't necessarily make contact. How do you move into it? How do you get the club to bottom out where it's supposed to? I mean, that's all things that are going to, how do you set up? Those are all going to run into impact. And, if you can't talk about controlling club face and managing ball flight without hitting it solid. If you hit a driver, you've got, like high heel to low toe, there's like 9 different areas you could hit it on the club face. They give you 9 different ball flights.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though, you hit it on a different spot on the club, it's going to fly differently. So, managing where you strike it and how you strike it is super important.
I've got center face pretty much almost down, but I've got the heel pretty much down too. that's my MO.
Yeah, I'm a toe misser, if anything. I don't like that heel side. That's scary. Yeah, you don't want it. This heel strikes are a little scary.
So with new golfers, or I hate to say on average, I really don't, but I want to say there's probably consistently something that a lot of golfers maybe see or struggle with when they first come into golf. Say they're playing, they're getting the ball up in the air, they can go and maybe lose half a box of golf balls around or something like that. But what's probably one of the number one things you see with a very new golfer who can play a little bit? What's one of probably the biggest things that you would, or maybe advice you would give, or that one thing that you would say, you probably need to work on this? What would it be? In the swing, not the management.
Yes, yeah. My mind went to mental first, where I would just say, you understand golf is hard. Yeah. Right. But I think just solid setup. I mean, if you're holding it the right way and you're set up properly, you will build your swing around that. Just the wrong grip, everything in your swing will try to adapt to what you're doing wrong in your hands. So grip is probably one of the most important things, as far as just like, if you're going to get one fundamental right, hold it right. And
let's tell a little bit of a story, and you can use me as an example, because I've gone from a 16 to a 12, and that's at Old Hickory. I played Old Hickory a lot. Well, probably one of the harder handicapped courses around here.
It's difficult. Yeah.
So I think if I played other courses more consistently, I think I might achieve my goal as single digit at this point. But now I've kind of shifted my goal to, I'm going to be single digit at Old Hickory first.
Sure.
But you can use me, because I think on this is a lot of mine. So tell a little bit of the story on me, for example, because setup is probably one of my things. So kind of explain, because you can do this at the facility. You're going to be able to do your evaluation and really start to hone in on this. But let's talk about, if that's the one thing that really consider your setup first. I have a tendency in my game, when I'm hitting the ball wrong, or when I'm not getting the ball flight, my strike's pretty decent now. Right. It's in my setup. What do you usually see with me when I'm like, dude, I'm struggling with driver, I'm struggling with my miss is usually what, and why is it usually like that?
Oh man, you're giving me some trouble here. So open and slidey is where my mind goes. So aim is an issue. But then the body movement stuff, I mean, just wanting to shift into the target rather than rotate and stuff like that. But we get the rights with driver pretty easily.
And like you said, a lot of that is aim.
Yeah.
Because you stop me a lot, and which is all part of setup.
Right.
It's like, I tend to try to get my target like off my left shoulder, which then, now I've got a better feeling of like, I try to feel my eyes in the center of my chest, but that's all part of setup. But because sometimes like my setup, I'll get so far
right.
Where
your chest gets closed, and you're close to your feet. Your feet are open, chest are closed, and you're aiming in multiple areas at once. And I don't know where your eyes are pointed either. So I mean, you can't have multiple targets. Your eyes and the club face work really well together. So if your body gets twisted off of that, you're going to try to steer the ball in the direction where you're looking. So those of you that slice it and aim left because you slice it, you're going to have to slice it if you're aiming left. So it's not going to fix the issue. Getting to square is important so that you can make those changes. If you're going to stand open, you better move the ball right. It goes hand in hand. So you're better off aiming right if you're hitting it right. You'll start to try to close the club face. Yeah.
No, I agree, and that's I'm glad you said setup as far as the first thing, because and that's still something. I've gone from a 16 to a 10 or 12 now, and it's still the consistency. Every time now I put the sticks down, and I think that would help a lot of people because it's kind of like driving. Like you said, your eyes match the club face. It's kind of like driving. You ever look in the mirror and start to like tend that same direction? It's like no matter where your body's set up, you have a goal in mind.
Right.
That flag is there, and don't always aim at the flag. There's management there. Don't always look at the flag, but we're going to use flag for an example. Here's my spot. I've got 178 yards to that bunker, and it's like you can be lined up, and I usually aim right. So now I'm center fairway, which leaves me short-sided into a green where I want to be left towards this bunker, but I'm aimed down the middle of the fairway, but my eyes are at bunker, and it's like subconsciously, like you said, mentally, you want to take the ball to that direction, but you're aimed totally in the wrong direction. Right. Like your eyes cannot overcome what's going to happen with the path of the swing compared to where you're aimed.
Right.
So setup is very, very important, and I thought you would say that, but I think that also can cause problems like I have. And I just want to be relatable with other people because I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Sure.
Because I'm so closed, I think it also changes my path, which is how I get slidey. I don't rotate because I have to get the club in such a way to hit it square.
Right. So, like a lot of times when I have, let's say, a good high school player or college level athlete come out and they're like, I can't hit it. And it's like, you don't just lose your golf swing. You're doing something stupid. So it's like, you're aiming too far right, or you're standing too close to the ball, and the golf lesson is 30 seconds, and it's like you just set them up properly, and then they're like, oh, well, there it is. Like you don't your swing doesn't just go away. So those of you that, practice on the range and you hit it great and you go to the golf course, you're doing something silly on the in-between, whether you're not using alignment aid on the range and practicing from square positions and just hitting blindly, and you hit really well blindly, and on the golf course you're trying to aim and then you're not aiming correctly, it's going to cause issues. Or I always say things get out of line, more tense and faster on the golf course. So if you're able to manage your tension, manage your setup process, and then keep a good tempo, you can transition that range to course.
Yep. So there's the management side of the skill as well. And that's why, having this facility, at Elevate, right? It's cool. Everybody, if you're watching this, you can see the logo up there. But having the process you're going to have and being able to train accordingly and very, very dynamically is good because it's going to make golf a lot more fun for a lot of people. I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be a huge resource, and it will literally change the game of golf and how it's going to grow it, and getting people scoring better, yes, but also just playing a better quality of golf. And giving people resources no matter what your goal is, or if your kids have goals, to be able to give them a resource that, we can really start to train specifically, and giving you the ability to train more, see more dynamically, not have to, the 30-second lesson is important,
right?
But then it's like,
that's
okay,
super important.
now go.
That's all we need. Yeah. And you're going to pay an hourly rate to get a 30-second golf lesson.
Right.
Golf lesson takes most of the time 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The rest is supervised practice. the way we're set up, you don't have to pay for that extra 55 minutes. You know, you get the quick looks and the management of coach being around when you're practicing, making sure you're not doing those silly things. You're actually able to progress a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. And kudos to you for taking in a conversation that we had is like, man, I could do this in 3 minutes and then we're just standing around and just hitting balls. And it's like financially for you doesn't quite make sense. Love what you do, but now it's less about the money. It's more about the impact. You're literally going to be able to impact more golfers and build better golfers at a higher rate because of what you have figured out,
right,
which is super cool, and having that direction to do that. So, when's the projected open date? What do we think?
I don't want to quote something that we can't keep, but
you said October-ish,
early October. So
before the end of the year.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're probably before the 15th of October, I would say.
And where's it at?
It's in Lake St. Louis. It's like in Lake St. Louis Boulevard is the closest intersection to it.
Okay. Yeah. It's right behind my house. It's great.
Right behind Quiver River Electric. So.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Everybody knows where that is. Equestrian Center's kind of over there.
Yep.
And Donatelli's is that direction as well.
Right behind there.
Yep.
Yeah, real easy to get to from really anywhere. So.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, what else you got?
Me?
Anything? Anything else you want to go over? Anything else you want to say?
So. Just
that covered a lot?
Plug the Instagram.
Yeah. Oh, you got Instagram now.
Well, I'm not managing it. It's ELV8 Golf.
ELV8 Golf on Instagram.
We're posting videos of the build on there now, so you can kind of see the progress as we get underway here. So
awesome.
Nice.
Well, we'll put some links in the description too. So follow them on Instagram. We'll be. I know I'm going to be over there too. So you can follow Dr. Dustin Boston on Instagram. I'm going to drag Erin over there so she stops trying to use my clubs. We'll get her to use some demo clubs or something. But super cool what you're coming out with. We'll do another one here once you get up and rolling, and
that'd be great.
Super excited to be able to see what comes of it. But reach out to us, reach out to Zach, follow us on the socials, and we look forward to seeing you open.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep. See ya.